Welcome to the first installment of August of the Software Showcase. We have Mark Stedman and myself, Glenn Oliver. Once again, thank you for joining us. This week is, well, every week's a little bit different,
right.
But this week is different in the sense that for the first time, we're not talking about software that other people use or software that's in the field. We want to focus in on something that actually may be very useful in your everyday workplace. One of the things that we mentioned last time is we'll be featuring Outlook and addressing appointments. And in a time where we're not able to gather together, I find that I'm making more appointments than I normally do. And a challenge for me is sometimes getting people to coordinate for a meeting takes longer than some of the meetings that we hold themselves. Have you experienced this?
Yeah, absolutely, Glenn. You know, if you're just trying to set up a meeting with one person, it's not too hard, right? You could always see, you can pick up the phone and talk to them about when the right time to meet is. But when you get to 3, 4, 6, 8 people and you're trying to find a time to meet, I think we've all experienced the email storm back and forth of, well, Tuesday at 7 is no good for me. How about Wednesday at 5, or those kinds of things. And you can, of course, use, when you set up a meeting in Outlook, you can kind of see other people's free busy information, but not everybody keeps their calendar up to date. It's not always reliable to try to just drop a meeting on somebody. So yeah, so today we're going to talk about something called Find Time.
Excellent. Well, as always, this is live now, but able to be seen after the event. So if you miss it, you're welcome to share it. We've heard from a number of people that have had some instances problems with Teams being able to view this after the fact. So we've also been going and gathering some of these and making them available on YouTube. So we have now even more convenient format to find, play, and share some of these showcases. So be sure to look for that information following the event.
So I think what you just did is you just said, if you're not on this call, you'll get a YouTube link. But of course, the people who aren't on the call aren't going to hear that. So they'll just get it in their email, right?
I'm sending it over brainwaves right
now. So yeah, anyway, you will get a YouTube link. And for the previous software showcases that we've done for the various tools, we're also going to be salting and peppering those throughout the Bible Translation Tools websites. So I was thinking maybe we would do a treasure hunt in a few weeks, First person to send us the URL for each place that we embedded one of those videos, maybe we send them a prize or something like that.
That sounds fantastic. Are we exempt from that?
I'll get back to you. We have to figure out what the prizes are first.
Excellent.
All right. Well, should we jump into it?
Yes, please.
All right. Let me start sharing my screen here. The other thing is I need to put these on, otherwise my screen is just a big blur. So here's something that you probably haven't even noticed, although it has been there the whole time, and that's the meeting poll button. So you've got this button out here kind of on the right-hand side of your ribbon. It should show up for you automatically. It's also helpful if I share not just one window, if I share my whole desktop. So I'm going to do that. So excited. I was so excited to get going that I hit the wrong button. Okay, so now we've got all my windows. Here we go, new meeting poll. So here's how you use new meeting poll. Let's say I want to schedule a meeting with Clint, for instance. And let's also throw Tom Fadenauer in there. Just Tom's not on camera, but he's in our studio audience today. Shout out to Tom, thanks for being here. We'll talk about SQL Server. It's always Tom's favorite thing to talk about. So I'm just going to send an email to those people, and I'm going to hit this new meeting poll. And this is going to bring up some times that we could meet. It's pretty nice because it's already kind of showing me what availabilities look like, and it's saying, yeah, August 5th isn't looking good. One of these knuckleheads is busy all day long. All day long. So let's see, let's try the 6th, that's Thursday. I would say, it's really nice in that it puts some times that you're all three available. Let's say 11:30 and 4:30. And then I'm just going to hit next. And I'm going to say, yeah, it's going to be a Teams meeting, because we're going to meet online. So I don't have to actually put in a location. The Teams meeting is automatically there. It's got some options here, which I'll talk about later. The one that I will say is that hold selected times on my calendar for me as the person sending this. What it's going to do is go ahead and block out those two choices on a pending status so that I don't double book myself. So those are my 2 selected times, and I can say add to email. And it just throws this little window in here, and I can say, man, I'm really not typing well today.
That's right. No one's watching.
No one's, yeah, that's probably
no pressure.
So I'm going to send that out, and off it goes. And before we switch screens, I'll just show you that it has blocked those times for me. See, it says hold. So again, that way I don't double book. So that's out there now for you guys, and you'll receive an email about it. So
okay.
Why don't you share your screen, and we can see what the other side of that looks like.
All right, so we can see at the top of the screen here, I've got a email from Mark Stedman. Hey guys, let's talk about SQL Server. It's popped out here and saying, hey, I've got 2 options that's available to me, created with find time. So if I click on select options, I can see I actually have a lot of opportunity to participate here. I've already seen to the side here, Mark Stedman has approved both of these times as being an option for him. Tom has already responded back that 4:30 doesn't work for him, but 11:30 does work for him. And now it's requesting what my preference is. I'm looking at these, and while I do want an afternoon meeting, 4:30 is kind of a little bit late in the day. I actually come in early, leave early, so I'd actually like to push that back to 4 o'clock. So I can go ahead and propose that to be, let's see, this is for the 6th, so let's change our day to the 6th, and I'm going to suggest,
yeah, let's go with a PM time.
4 p.m.
Now, if 4:30 had been okay with you, you would have just pushed, you would have hit yes on 4:30, the poll would have closed out, and then we all 3 would have just gotten a meeting invite that already had the team's details in it. So in the happy path where you don't have people who are really picky about the times that they want, that's what would happen.
But of course I mucked everything up.
That's all right. The point is that you were able to put that in there, and it's updated the poll, and I will actually share my screen and show you what that looks like as the guy who is organizing the poll. So I have gotten back a note here. Hey guys, let's talk about SQL Server, and an attendee has voted. So it lets me know Tom voted, and he said that he was down with 11:30, but not 4:30. Then later it says, oh, additional time choices were proposed, and those are going to be the times that Len suggested. So actually now I get to vote again, and I think Tom will have gotten the same email and will also need to respond if he hasn't yet. Oh, here we go. Let's see. Well, the good news is it doesn't look like any of these are going to line up. You know, sometimes studio audience and those online, you really need to be careful who you're trying to invite to meetings. Sometimes you just decide that it's just not worth having a meeting. So we're going to explore a corner that I haven't gotten to, which is what happens if nobody agrees. Let's see if we got an email back. Let's see, another attendee has voted here. Tom still says, no, I'm not meeting at 4 o'clock either. So as the meeting sender, I also have a dashboard that I can get to. And the dashboard tells me I can go look at this poll. If I had a bunch of people on it, it's actually a way to sort of observe the poll as we go. Let's see if we're ever going to be able to land the plane on this poll. Glenn, you've only said yes to one that Tom said no. So we're actually kind of at an impasse. Did you get an email back that said you better change your votes? Because you didn't say yes or no to 2 of the times.
Do you want me to share it and take a look?
Yeah, why don't you do that? See how both of the 2 slots that you had open there, you didn't respond. And so the system is at this point a little confused about what your non-response means.
All right. So I have the updated email. So if I look at this here, I should see the latest round of proposed changes. And I can actually commit to this saying, you know what, yeah, let me go ahead and accept on this one. Everyone seems to be good for that. I can move things around. That should be fine.
That would be good.
All right, so I voted here.
All right.
And what does that do for you?
Well, the good news is it's going to do the same thing for you, which is in about a minute or so, if you look in your email, you should have a meeting invite for that time.
And there it is. Now that we've all agreed on a time, it automatically is now sent a RSVP, which I can respond to. Yes, that sounds good. And now it is added to my calendar, I believe.
Yep, and your calendar invite will have the Teams meeting details embedded and all of that good stuff. So, yep, and I've in fact gotten your RSVP that says that you're going to meet. So obviously we took sort of the long and meandering route because we wanted to show everybody all the features. You know, you can propose a different time if the original times proposed don't fit for you. My experience is generally most people will work in one of the times. You know, if you pick a couple of times over the next couple of days, you know, you can kind of get to some kind of agreement about what's going to work. But it really is pretty helpful, and it can really shorten the amount of time, believe it or not.
It's saved me all the time at looking at other people's calendar, figuring out the holes myself, asking somebody who's not sure in their calendar what day or is even available.
Right. When are you in the office and all those kinds of things.
Honestly, setting up a meeting outside of that is probably going to take at least 10 or 15 minutes of my time non-consecutively throughout the day.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and just take the screen back here because I wanted to show a couple of more things. One I was going to show is it did go ahead and unblock those times on my calendar that it was holding previously that I had shown you. So it went ahead and took those hold times off the calendar, cleaned that up. So those times are no longer blocked out. And there's the meeting sitting on my calendar for when we are ready to actually get together and all that stuff. So hopefully that's going to be useful for you and for lots of other people, particularly as more and more of us are having more and more online meetings. So the next thing I was going to show today is another button that's been in your Outlook for quite some time, which is the report message. And as tempting as it is for me to flag all of that back and forth as spam, I'm not going to do that. And the reason I'm not going to do that is because this report message button up here is actually really powerful. So just a little bit of detail about our email system. Of course, we use Office 365, which is a Microsoft platform. And on top of that, we use a tool called Advanced Threat Protection. All that stuff's running on the server. It's not really anything that a user needs to interact with or whatever. And it leverages the power of the Office 365 platform that receives billions of emails per day. Okay, so I don't know, hundreds of thousands of companies use Office 365 globally, billions and billions of emails being processed all the time. That's let Microsoft do some amazing machine learning, artificial intelligence kind of stuff to pick up on things like spam, viruses, whatnot, to keep all that stuff out of your mailbox because they're able to see, you know, the kinds of patterns that you get when you have that kind of big data. So you really don't need to do much. It actually works really, really well. It keeps out a ton of email that you don't want because it's spam or junk. And you can often see those things in your junk. And it keeps out a ton of stuff that's actually malicious. That stuff is really nice. What the report message does is it actually lets you take that to the next level. And it lets you indicate that an email, in your opinion, is spam or phishing or some kind of malicious thing. It takes that message and disposes of it so that it's out of your inbox. But it also informs Microsoft servers that, hey, Glenn as a human identified that this message is actually, there's a problem here, and you should know about that, and it helps them to tune their filters. So I'll give you an example here. While we were sitting around, I actually got this email. I don't have any idea who FBL is or why. I guess we're having fiber for breakfast. Anyway, I don't know what this is. I didn't sign up for this. I've never signed up for Fiber Lite, so they're just spamming me. All right, and it got through. You know, it got through maybe because Microsoft knows I'm a tech guy, and I maybe anyway.
You're a fiber fan.
Yeah, I'm a fiber fan. I like fiber optics. It's good stuff. So I'm just going to report it as junk. It's not phishing. It's just junk mail. So when I do that, it's got a little whirly thing here. Report messages working on your thing, and then it says I'm going to move this to the junk email folder. So that's basically tuning the rules on my mailbox and contributing to sort of that global perspective on mail and saying, yeah, this is junk. I didn't ask for this. So that's helpful in doing that. So that report message button will also mean that I won't see any more mail from those guys. Like it knows, yeah, I'm actually not interested in that at all. So it's very powerful and very useful. Now, the other thing that it's helpful for is my junk email box happens to have more than 10,000 messages in it. Like I said, it's pretty effective. A lot of stuff goes to junk that I never have to see. But if I'm looking for something, we've all had that situation where there actually is a message.
But Mark, I sent it to you.
Yeah. Yeah, and we would call that a false positive, something that I want ends up in junk. Frankly, my experience is it's very, very unusual that I get a false positive. But if I did get a false positive, I can come in here and do the reverse. I can come into my junk and I can say, oh yeah, no, actually I mean to be getting Netlify stuff. I can do report message and say not. And that'll, in the same way, it'll inform the server-side filters, hey, this actually isn't junk. I want that to be.
And approves that sender.
Yeah, basically. I don't think it's a blanket approval, but it does, tell them, and it also puts it back in your inbox where you want. So the other button that's here is phishing. Mm-hmm. Obviously, phishing is a real problem. Some tremendous number of actual financial, digital attacks start out with phishing emails. It's gotten a little more sophisticated than the Nigerian prince, although I still see that one going around. But there is still a fair bit of phishing that goes on. Again, I very rarely will actually get a message that is phishing that gets through. But if you do, same thing, report message, pick phishing. That informs the server side stuff, and it actually helps protect all the people within WA and even more broadly in the broader ecosystem of Microsoft Office 365 servers. So what do you think? Have you used this button before?
I have, definitely, especially with the phishing. That's the kind of stuff that you see in the news today is, people attacking via phishing. It's definitely something very powerful. And I've definitely used the junk and also saving things from being declared junk. So it helps me fine tune the box so it just streams exactly what I need to see and what I want to see.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to talk about these today because Outlook has a lot of buttons across the top, and I think just kind of even in our own internal polling among our team, I said, "Do you have these two buttons?" And everybody was like, "Yeah, I have these two buttons." Do you ever use them? No, not really. What do they do? And I just thought, it's so easy to kind of miss features like this that really can be helpful, and so I wanted folks to know about those. So this would be a great time for us to take any questions. I'm checking the producer and he's shaking his head and saying there are no questions. So we can tap dance for a minute here in case anybody's madly typing any questions. I'm always nervous when there's no questions. Either we've explained it really thoroughly or no one cares. So
definitely the former.
It's definitely the first one, right? That's
without a doubt
certainly what we hope. So if you do have any questions, please shoot those at us.
And also, we're going to continue to evolve some of these showcases coming in the future. So we recently have been focusing very much on software tools that are in the field, but I think we're excited to get some new faces in front of the camera talking about some other topics that are of interest both to WA and our global outreach.
Yeah, I'm glad that you've brought that up because as soon as we get the camera back on, people will be able to see our smiling faces. Letting you know that our upcoming software showcases, like you said, are going to shift gears a little bit. So she doesn't know yet because I have not actually had a chance to invite her. But I plan to ask in Tabitha Price and Deborah Mullins to talk about some of the changes that we've made in Port and kind of the newer, kind of the evolving ministry model of relating to partners. Maybe you've heard about the STEP model, S-T-E-P, and I don't want to say too much about it because I want to save that for our next presentation. But I'm going to let Tabitha come in and talk about what the STEP program or the STEP model is. And then we'll do a little bit of show and tell just on how Port is going to help our field dev and translation services people help our field partners grow in their ability to do Bible translation for themselves, as well as to disciple others in doing Bible translation. So it won't be strictly software, but I think it'll be a really, really good way to learn more about how WA is approaching the global church, especially in this time of pandemic. Mm-hmm. I think back a year ago, and so many people were on airplanes all the time, flying all over. I mean, we had dozens and dozens of people going all over helping to facilitate events. And at the moment, that's nigh impossible. There's a very short list of countries that will even let you travel there at the moment. And so obviously we've had to make changes to try to accommodate those changes. And so I want to let Tabitha and Deborah talk a little bit about what that looks like. And I hope that in future ones we'll also be able to bring in other people from that group. And I don't want to say who because I haven't talked to all of them yet. But yes, we definitely want to broaden it a little bit more and start talking more about ministry and tools. Bring those two things together because that's what we do. We weave those things together, ministry and tools.
Well, thank you so much for spending time with us. We will shortly follow this up with an email of where to find this on YouTube as well as in the Teams link that will always work as well. Thank you for spending the time, and we'll see you again soon.
Thanks so much, everybody.